All right, puff pastry. And we're just gonna roll this out with the parchment paper on our sheet pan. All right, we're instantly gonna come in with our knife and we're gonna cut some diagonal slits right along our puff pastry, just like so. This is a super easy, yummy treat that is great for summer or fall. I cannot wait for you guys to see what this comes into. All right, we have our cuts on both sides, leaving the middle untouched. Now I'm gonna come in with my favorite ingredient, my Philadelphia cheesecake no bake. You guys know I love this stuff, and we're gonna add a generous amount right in the center of our puff pastry. And yes, you can bake this no bake cheesecake. It doesn't change anything about the taste. It is so yummy, so delicious. And this dessert is a must try, especially if you love cheesecake. So we're gonna just spread this out so we have a nice layer right in the center, not touching those cuts. All right, we used about 1/3 of our container and that looks perfect. Now our next step is probably my favorite, but we are gonna add some apple pie filling. Yes, you can add whatever pie filling you want. I have made this with cherries before and it is so yummy. But we're doing apples this time because it reminds me of fall, reminds me of Thanksgiving, which this would be the perfect dessert to make for Thanksgiving. So we're just adding some pie filling right on top of that cheesecake. Once again, not touching those cuts that we made on the sides of our puff pastry. And you can add as much or as little as you like. I think we're gonna use most of this can, if not all of it. Okay, perfect. Now, for my favorite part, we're gonna go ahead and take our little cuts that we made and we're gonna stretch it over our pie filling and our cheesecake, just like so. We're gonna do a nice little braid with our puff pastry. This is such a fun dessert to make and it will totally impress your guests, especially if you are hosting for Thanksgiving. So let's go ahead and finish up our braid, just alternating sides as we fold in our puff pastry cuts. All right, we're placing our last little folds, just tuck it right on top, just like so. And now we're gonna do one more thing before we pop this in the oven. We are gonna grab our egg and we are gonna do an egg wash on top of our puff pastry. You can do a milk wash or a water wash, but I find that the egg wash makes the puff pastry the most golden brown and flaky, which is our goal for this recipe. So we're just gonna brush that little egg right on top and then this will be ready to get cooking. I'm so excited. It's gonna make our house really smell delicious. We're just finishing up here. That looks absolutely perfect. This is gonna go in the oven at 400 for about 20 to 25 minutes. Oh my, this looks even better than I expected. The only thing that will make this better is a little bit of powdered sugar that we're gonna sprinkle right on top of this entire thing. Oh,
it smells so good.
It smells like apple pie.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so now we are gonna go ahead and move this onto our cutting board. Whoop. Start off with just grabbing that parchment paper. And then we can just slide it right off. Oh, look at that beauty. Okay, it's time to cut a slice. Ooh, that cheesecake, the apple pie, the puff pastry. This is about to be my new favorite dessert. All right, time to give this a try. That was really hot, you guys.
Oh.
But oh my goodness, it was worth it because that is so tasty. All right, with our rotini, I'm gonna add some shredded chicken, and that was some pre-cooked pasta and pre-shredded cooked chicken. I have here 1 diced red onion that we're also gonna add. This is such an easy one-pan dinner. I love making this when I just need a super quick meal to feed my family. And what goes great with chicken and onions is some bacon. I have 4 strips of cooked bacon, and we're gonna go ahead and just chop that up. You can also just use bacon bits. You can use extra bacon, you can use less bacon, but I think that 4 is gonna be perfect for the amount of pasta that we have, which was 1 box, and then that 1 pound of chicken. Beautiful. All of my dinners include a little bit of garlic, and I'm using garlic because that's my favorite, and don't worry, we will give this a good mix, so just make sure to add about a tablespoon of garlic in there for some great flavor. To really brighten this up, I'm gonna add 1 can of my diced tomatoes, and we're just gonna kind of get that on the sides. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be so tasty. It smells good already, yum. But the star of the show is our sweet baby Ray's. So this is a barbecue chicken pasta dinner. I absolutely love this because barbecue chicken is one of my favorite things. And this barbecue sauce is gonna act like our pasta sauce. And we're just gonna add a good amount, about 2 cups of our barbecue sauce. I'm obviously using Sweet Baby Ray's original, but you can use the no sugar added. You can use whatever barbecue sauce you like. I do love Kinder's, but Sweet Baby Ray's is always the most affordable. And that looks like the perfect amount. Before we give this a mix, I'm just gonna season this super quick. We're gonna add some pink salt. Perfect. Add a little bit of heat with our red peppers. You can skip this if you don't like the heat, but you guys know I love the heat. We're gonna add some garlic powder because you can never have too much garlic. You could also add some onion powder or pepper, but I think I'm gonna keep it with those 3. And now I'm gonna come in with my pasta spoon and we are gonna give this a good mix. And I'm just using one of these aluminum dishes to keep it nice and easy. And it tastes amazing. And look at that. The tomatoes with the barbecue just complement each other so well. And those onions, that chicken just was shredded so beautifully. And if you feel like it's a little dry, you can always add a little bit more barbecue sauce. So let's go ahead and get this nice and mixed. All right, this looks beautifully mixed, but we're not done yet. We have one more thing we're gonna add, and that is, of course, some mozzarella cheese. And we're gonna sprinkle this on top of our entire dish so that we get a nice layer of cheese that's gonna be nice and gooey and just complement all of those other flavors. You can also use like a Colby Jack or a triple cheddar, but I think mozzarella goes really well with barbecue and chicken. So we're gonna use that whole bag right on top of our dish, get that nice and spread out, and then this is ready to start cooking. My oven is set to 400 and it's gonna be in there for 20 to 25 minutes. All right, we took this out of the oven and let it cool. It smells absolutely incredible. It is time to dig in. Gotta cut that cheese up so when we go in, oh my goodness, that looks so good. Ooh, and that steam, it's still warm. Oh, I love this pasta because it has equal parts pasta as it does meat. Ooh, so it's very filling. All right, we're gonna get all that goodness in there. Perfect bite. That is tasty. All right, so that's just my sugar cookie on the bottom of my 13x9 pan. I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of press those cookies down so we can get like a yummy sugar cookie crust for our delicious and easy dessert. Yummy, okay. And obviously you can make your own homemade cookie dough. I always let you guys know you can make this homemade, but I like it easy, and Pillsbury cookie dough is just so delicious that I can never pass it up. Okay, that looks good enough. Now I'm coming in with 2 cans of peaches, and I did drain these, and we're gonna just kind of get them all out on top of that sugar cookie dough. I probably should have gotten 3 cans, but you know what? This is still gonna be so good. Just take your spatula and kind of spread them, so at least there's 1 peach in each of the bites. Oh my goodness, doesn't that look so beautiful and delicious?
I'm just curious what you're making, but yes.
Oh, it is
looks good.
A delicious dessert that you're gonna wanna make all the time. All right, now we're gonna come in with some ground cinnamon, and we're gonna do a nice sprinkle on those peaches. Get it nice and cinnamony. Yeah, delicious. Okay, that looks perfect. Cinnamon and peaches just go so well together. I had to throw a little bit on there. Now, to finish off this dessert, I have a spice cake mix, and we're gonna go ahead and just sprinkle that right on top of those peaches. Ooh, it smells so good. Between the cinnamon and the spice cake, this is gonna be delicious. Okay, go ahead and actually I'm gonna use my spatula and just spread that cake mix on top of those peaches. We really want those peaches submerged in the cake mix. I think I really needed that 3rd can of peaches so that the cake mix wouldn't sink in, but you know what? We're gonna make the best of it, and we're gonna make this so delicious regardless.
It'll be fine without it, baby.
Okay, beautiful. Now I'm coming in with my butter. I'm using unsalted butter this time, but you can use salted or unsalted. Totally, it's up to you. And I just have these super thin slices that I'm placing right on top of that cake mix. And this is gonna be kind of like the crust to our dessert. So we have the bottom crust of the sugar cookie dough and then the top crust of the spice cake mix. Okay, now I'm gonna grab another stick, but this time we're only gonna use half of this, or probably even less than that. Because look, we only have a few more empty spots. Perfect, so even less. So about a stick and 2 tablespoons. Okay, this is ready for the oven. My oven is set to 350 and this is gonna cook for 50 minutes. Oh my, would you look at that? It looks so good, you guys. Whoa. Okay, let's go ahead and get some of this out. It has the cookie, the peaches, the cake mix.
Oh, look, it's perfectly cooked.
Yeah, of course it is. Ooh. Make sure all of those edges come off. It's okay if it kind of crumbles, because that just means it's gonna be delicious. Ooh, there we go. Once we got underneath there. Oh my, would you look at that? Oh, it looks so good. Okay, I'm gonna put it over here.
Whoa.
Look at that cookie dough, it's perfectly cooked. Yummy. All right, you guys, I'm gonna do something a little crazy. My dogs will bark. This is an instant bark noise.
Literally called it.
They love whipped cream. Okay. Oh my gosh. Look at this. This looks so good. Do you love peaches? And you love cinnamon? And you love just life? You need this. Oh, yeah. That is incredible.
Oh, really?
You've got to try it. All right, so that was just my one puff pastry sheet. I'm next gonna grab my classic chili with beans. Now, if you don't like beans in your chili, you can grab a can of chili with no beans, or if you wanna make homemade chili, even better. I always say homemade is better. Okay, and we're gonna use about 3/4 of this can of chili, and we only have it on half of our puff pastry. This is gonna be a stuffed and puffed pastry that's savory and delicious. Beef hot dogs. And I already went ahead and cut 2 of my hot dogs up, and we're gonna put those right on top of our chili. Now, if you like chili cheese dogs, you are gonna love this super easy lunch, game day appetizer, whatever you wanna make it for. This is for our chili cheese dog lovers. And look, 2 hot dogs was perfect for that amount of chili. Now, the only thing that's missing, of course, the cheese. And I'm doing the mild cheddar, but you can use whatever cheese you like, a Colby Jack, a triple cheddar, a medium cheddar, a sharp cheddar, but we're gonna use about half a bag of this cheddar and make sure that this gets kind of spread out to those edges as well. Remember, we're only doing this on half of our puff pastry, and the reason for that is because we are gonna grab that other half, pull it off of the parchment paper, kind of stretch it out, and we are going to cover up all of that goodness. I'm gonna go ahead and move it to the side, just like so. And before we continue, I'm gonna grab my fork, and just like you would with a pie, we're gonna go ahead and close up those sides using our fork. Now, you could use a pizza crust for this, a pie dough, but I think the puff pastry is just so fluffy, so delicious, always a crowd pleaser, and it really just stays really nicely together when you make something like this. Okay, now I'm gonna grab my melted butter now that that's fully enclosed, and we're gonna give this a nice little butter wash. This is gonna make it extra golden brown, extra tasty. We're gonna get those edges too, help unseal those edges. This is gonna be delicious. All of the best, chili cheese flavors just locked into a gorgeous puff pastry. It's kind of elevating a chili cheese dog, instead of a bun, you got your puff pastry, and now it's fancy. That's what I say. Okay, that looks perfect. Let's get those sides too, yummy. Now I'm just gonna quickly give some cuts, just so that chili can breathe in there. I think 3 little cuts should be absolutely perfect. And before we pop this in the oven, I am just gonna sprinkle a little bit of our chopped parsley for some beautiful green color. This is optional, you can totally skip this, but I think it's really what's gonna make this fancy and elevated. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to pop this in the oven. Beautiful. All right, my oven is set to 350 and this is gonna be in there for 30 minutes. All right, you guys, look how beautifully golden brown our puff pastry is. The best part about keeping it on its parchment paper is that we can just slide it right onto our cutting board. I'm gonna even try to get it off the parchment because why? Look how gorgeous that is. Oh my, perfectly cooked. All right, it's time to cut into this crazy creation. Oh, yeah, look at that cheese. Oh, I cannot wait to dig into this. And this is some good old finger food, so you don't need a fork or knife. It is our chili cheese dog hot pocket. Yeah, you heard it first. Oh, I got a hot dog in that bite. This is so fun, so delicious. I mean, you have to try it.